Owl. Cato the owl lived in a tall tree with a thick, twisting trunk. "You call him," Jurump said to Honeybear as they stood at the base of the tree, peering up into the branches. "He knows you better than me." So Honeybear called out to the owl, "Are you there, Cato? Please come down and see us. We have something very important to ask you." They waited for what seemed a long time, and just as they were thinking no one could be at home, the owl arrived on a nearby branch in a flutter of wings. "Hello, Cato," Honeybear said. "Thank you for coming down." She pointed at the young gorilla. "You remember Jurump, don't you?" "Oh, yes," said Cato, blinking and turning his head slowly side to side. "He's not someone I'm likely to forget." "The thing is," Honeybear continued, "we want to take a trip to the zoo so Jurump can see his friends and I can meet them too, but we don't know the way. Can you tell us how to get there, please?" Both she and Jurump looked expectantly at the owl, waiting for him to reply. "Yes, I can tell you the way," Cato said, looking from one to the other. "But the journey can be quite dangerous and you'll need to look out for cars and roads." "What sort of animals are cars and roads?" Honeybear asked. "Just as I thought," the owl said, with a sigh, and went on to explain, "Cars and roads are not the names of animals. Roads are like tracks in the forest, but much wider. And cars are what people use to get about. They can go very fast along the roads and you don't want to be hit by one. And, speaking of people, you'll need to be careful that none of them see you on the way." He blinked twice. "Have you two thought about that?" "Oh dear," Honeybear said, shaking her head. "I hadn't thought about that at all." "Don't worry," said Jurump. "I managed to get here in one piece, and I'm sure we'll be all right." So Cato told the two friends how to get to the zoo, drawing a map on the forest floor with his claws, so they could see more clearly. "And you're sure this is accurate?" Jurump said. Cato looked down his beak at the young gorilla. "I hope you're not doubting my word?" Owls are not called wise for nothing, you know." "Thank you, Cato," said Honeybear, stepping in quickly, before Jurump could say anything further. "I knew you'd be able to help us." "Have a safe journey," the owl replied and, with a swoosh of his wings, flew back up into the tree. Honeybear and Jurump set off for the zoo the next morning. It was a good day to travel, with a bright sun in the sky and birds singing in the trees. They hadn't gone very far when Jurump spotted a movement in the bracken. "Who's there?" he wondered, pointing a finger so Honeybear could see where he meant. A moment later his question was answered when Snotty appeared, uncoiling his long body onto the forest path. "Hello, Snotty," Honeybear greeted the snake. "Isn't it a lovely day?" "Is it?" Snotty answered in his usual grumpy fashion. "I hadn't noticed." "Of course it is," Honeybear continued. "And we're off on a journey to the zoo so Jurump can introduce me to his friends there." "Maybe I'll get some peace then," Snotty said. "All that running about the forest you've been doing gathering flowers." "We were making a garden at the bottom of our treehouse and collecting flowers to plant there," Jurump pointed out. And I'm very sorry for what happened. I've already told you that. What had happened was that Jurumf had seen a beautiful purple flower and had gone to carefully dig it up for the new garden. But as he began, Snotty suddenly appeared from underneath the flower where he'd been having his afternoon nap. Jurumf had been so startled that he'd jumped in the air and fallen over backwards with a thump. And I must say, Honey Bear added, the garden looks really beautiful now that it's finished. Bah! Snotty muttered. Stuff and nonsense, all this talk about gardens. What use are they? And saying this, he slithered off.